got to give it a kiss. That's what you got to do. Yay!
Yeah, that's a lovely fish.
Lovely fish. Look at that. Yeah, a little bit slippery. This is the gully water. It's detritus, may rot that comes and infects the coast, and normally really puts me off for the lure fishing. But this year it's actually not been as bad as previous years, so we do rely a bit on settled weather. I'm trying to go across these boulders. I quite like having the trainers on, the ones that can get wet, and you're basically, to try and make some progress, you're looking for bits of sand. Speed up. So at the beginning of May, we've had a fair few fish on this lure. This is the Sandy Andy, and some great success. But I suppose the fish I was most pleased with last week was this one, and the reason is it was on a creature bait. You see there, it's got a crab in its gob. This is just a cheap Amazon type one. It's got those two hooks on it. I didn't bounce it across the bottom with this. Lots of good flowing water, and the bass were behind structure coming out to take it. So yeah, real success that for me. It was something I've been after for a few seasons now on the creature baits. You can see that I'm adding, you see that I added this sort of goo to it. This is gobble bait. It comes in different types of flavours, I suppose you call them. So I don't know, but I've got a feeling it certainly helps, particularly if those baits are going to be slow moving, just to use this additive. Good week on the bass at the start of May. So though you've got a flooding tide working its way across the reef, when it starts to recede and you've got things like this, massive great rocks which divert the water, the bass love it because it'll disorientate the bait fish, prawns, crabs, things like that, because everything will be moved up on the beach. It has to filter through, gaps like that. So it's a really good spot. You'll be casting over here, and the lure will sit in here, and it's exactly where the bass expect to see a disorientated bait fish. A great example of an overhang. It's an area bass will hang out, obviously, when the tide's coming in and receding, but I do like that on the ebb, Good example of an early tide venue. So the water's going to come across this reef. It's quite flat, so it's going to move really quickly. A really good spot to get the bass on the first part of the tide. So I've had a few fish here before. A couple of seals out there as well. Yeah, not sure about those seals. When the tide first starts to turn, it's almost like there's a breath. It's calm at the turn of the tide, and then that first push. So the sponsors of today's episode is Jackery, and I was really pleased when they reached out to me. This is something that I think will be really useful for us as anglers. It's a solar powered generator. Let's take a closer look. Really simple and light enough as well. So I've got a good carrying handle on there, and as you can see, you've got 3-pin plug attachment. You can allocate the power to that on these little buttons here. USB-C, there's 2 of those, and these will be proper power as well. None of these sort of little trickle charge silly little things. These are great. And then your usual USB, that's the 15-watt one, and what we call the cigarette lighter in there as well. So if you wanted to plug in a pump, in fact I've been using it for the pump and filter for the live bait in the back of the car, because it does fit in there really well. Pretty sturdy rubber feet here, just keeps that nice and aerated. Of course you can use it for whatever you need to charge, power up. For me, I've got the drones and the cameras, lighting. I'm sure you'll be able to think of something that you can really benefit from charging. I mean, even things like a fridge, mini fridge, could always blow up an airbed for your camping. And then if you are into your camping, of course, charge up the laptops. It's got waterproofing as well, and you can of course plug it into the mains before your journey, or there is that additional solar panel. It runs super silent and is beefy enough, believe it or not, to power rice cookers and projector. So I'm going to leave a link underneath where you can get your own solar powered generator. And thank you, Jackery, for agreeing to sponsor this episode. I'm working this weighted shad quite hard here, but there is a little ledge in front of me. There's also in front of me, can you see that? A little seal popped up right in front of me. I assume this gives me absolutely no chance of catching, so I don't think we're going to catch anything here today. But this rod I'm using is a 35 gram rod, and I do prefer something like my 28 gram rod, although I did snap it in the car door, so but it's a bit stiff, this rod, for these small soft plastics. So it's back to the drawing board because I broke the old faster action rod. So in the UK we kind of default to the pachinko, don't we, from its Zeros. So this is the Osti, and it's a beast. You can cast it further than the pachinko, and my French friends are always encouraging me to give this a go. You work it slightly differently to the pachinko. We'll struggle a bit today with that 35 gram rod, but so there's a few advantages of using this Osti over something like the pachinko. So the first thing you notice is it does cast like an absolute mile, but when you start working it, and it's a little bit harder because I've got this stiffer rod here, less of a fast action rod, but it dips under the water, it rolls, it splishes and splashes, is that a technical term? It's great for searching bodies of water to see if there's any active fish, and you can retrieve it faster than the pachinko as well. So the pachinko's got more of a maximum speed where it will walk the dog, and then if you retrieve it too fast, the patch, it stops its action, whereas this thing will continue to look like a wounded fish, seems as fast as you want to fish it really. It's going to be a really good searching lure. See if we can bring any fish up from the shallows. Generally I won't use a surface lure this early in the year, but I have been noticing the bass quite high up in the water. Spindleworms up next. Just want to try a little light version on this, just right in front of us. This is the mega bass one. Great little sort of weedless setup. That's the tail on there, and it sort of pulses away. I've put the hook through the thin bit in there, and it looks quite oversized, doesn't it? But it's unweighted. I've been using this goo, this gobble bait. I reckon it makes a bit of a difference, especially with slower moving baits. Dark sleeper from rock to rock, you're always risking a snag. It's not really the lure that gets snagged, is it? It's the line. You just feel it, you know, bouncing from rock to sand to the next rock. And I just think this looks terrific in the water. Look at that tail pumping away. Now you don't necessarily have to retrieve it like this, like a normal lure. You know, by all means you stop it, let it rest on a rock, you know, like a normal rockling would. I've also got some of these flat mats as well, which are little flatfish imitations. These are obviously going to be better off over sand where these little flatfish live. But another option. absolutely smothered the prawn there in gobble bait. I'm just going to plink it around, drop it on and off the boulders just to see, because I'm not going too well, but we'll give that a good go now. And then obviously I've got a little bit of an elevation here. I'm just sort of keeping that rod tip high, bouncing or moving that back round towards me through the tip. So I've got a little shad on here, and I'm shooting this through at speed. Sometimes if the fish aren't taking it, just try something different. So either super slow or just trying to get a little aggression take. You can see the rod's got a load of mud on it. That's because I've... So yeah, just blasting that through. Occasionally you'll get a little take. Well, after that success of the Sandy Andy and the creature baits, went out in the boat. More success. This is with manic fishing.
Beauties. And they're all keepers, those. I mean, look at the size of that.
Double hook up there. That was just working off a reef. So it's that little bit easier from the boat.
If you have your clutch set too much,
I feel it bouncing off the rocks. Any moment now we'll get snagged. This Daiwa J braid's really useful because it has... So I use this J braid from Daiwa today. It's got that multi-coloured element to it as well, so you can keep an idea of how deep you're fishing and how fast that lure's coming in as well. It's quite useful. But in terms of, we're always looking on the channel, aren't we, for best sort of value for money, but you can't really go too far wrong with that braid. You can spend a lot more to get something thinner and just as strong, but I really like that. They actually do an 8 strand, there it is, 8 strand version, a little bit more expensive, but both of those are absolutely fine. For the fluorocarbon, pretty much stick to the Seaguar now, the Ace Hard. So that's like £20, I call it £20, 19.14 pounds. But it's 0.33 mil, so it's really thin, super hard. I really like how that knots. Pretty much stick to the Seaguar now. Changing colour, and then every 10 metres another change in colour, so intermittently. The top of a sort of a large rock, so it does affect the sort of way you retrieve it. I'm almost digging it in, so reeling in the slack, pulling back, reeling in the slack, tapping it back, faster taps, and this will work. I mean, at the moment you'll see when it comes in, it's only up to about a foot under the surface. It's great action on this, and you can work again. It casts really well. Work it a bit slower. Like stop start. So I think this time of year the fish are a little bit fussy. Those weighted shads, things like that Sandy Andy have been a success. And of course the creature baits as well worth a go. And if you're into your lure fishing, why not check out this video here, which was at the same time of year, a few years ago, so you know what to expect as we get into the middle of May.